All right, thank you so much for staying with us. It's still business this week, reaching you live from ITV. And well, I actually told you that I have my guests in the studio. We're actually looking at food inflation. And we were told that food inflation rate in April 2023 was about 24.61% on a year-on-year basis, which was about 6.24% points higher. I don't know, with the way things are going, and of course, there have been information that we might have flood affecting us as a nation in the coming months. Let's start with Wisdom Elder. Though that's not our talking point, but it's actually a source of concern.
Yeah.
Tomatoes in the market now is on the high side. It's difficult to even boast of preparing rice and stew. So Wisdom Elder, with the inflation rate, how are we going to manage this?
All right, managing the inflation rate, my God, there are so many strategies that I don't think, well, first of all, there are measures. I think this calls for people to make certain levels of adjustments. I've said in so many programs, you know, that people can begin to decide their own economy as the country's economy shifts from one stage or from one phase to another. People can begin to decide how their own economy should be.
Okay.
You know, take for example, mechanized farming has made it easier for you, even when you don't have spaces like lands to plant. It has made it easier for you to also have a lot of crops that you can also harvest. It's just you don't have to have a land that you plant those crops. Yes, so it has made it easier. So things like tomato, pepper, vegetables, even yams. There was a program we had where people were taught on how to cultivate yams in bags. You understand? So you can actually target 1,000 bags and then have 1,000 yams, provided you have a space where those bags can stay.
Okay, yam ban.
Yes, yes. They don't have to be inside the floor. Remember, countries like China, some of these countries in Europe that are exporting agricultural produce don't even have the kind of land mass that we have. Yes, but they are into mechanized. Look at Israel, for example. Look at their, the size of Israel, about 22,500 square meters of land. It's not as big as some states we have.
Niger State.
Yes, it's not as big as Niger. It's not as big as
Ibadan.
Borno State. Borno State happens to be the second largest. You know, so these states have the capacity to feed the entire nation. Just one of those states, if the right things, if the right measures are put in place. So I see the challenge that we are having as a call to, you know, improvising. Because when things happen like this in the West, a lot of people go on to really do research and know how to improvise. So there are several strategies to survive.
Okay, there was a time where everything was on the high side, and practically they were practically impossible and unreachable to some persons. How do you think we can come out of this inflation? For us, hitting our major talking point.
Yeah, when we talk about inflation, we have to ask ourselves, how did we get here in the first place? We know that there are inflations in other parts of the world. But Nigeria precisely, the rate of inflation is so high. So the government has a lot to play. They need to come up with good policy. Like my colleague said, in some parts of the world, people usually have a garden very close to their home. They take it as an hobby. And it goes a long way in providing some cushions on effect in terms of food products.
So you don't need to have a farmland where you go to spend 3, 4, 5 days, 1 week.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You see, we're talking about you, your mouth, and your family. So you can easily do such. But for those who do not have the knowledge about that, we also have to come to multiple sources of income. Nowadays, you find out that we have so many persons who are looking for a job.
That's true.
We need to develop a society whereby we have a lot of persons who create jobs.
Okay.
than those who are looking for.
All right, talking about job creation, we'll be talking in that light. Last week we actually dealt on importance of having side hustle, and that actually gave birth to our current talking point. But we'll quickly go on a short break, and when we come back, we'll kickstart in earnest. Don't go nowhere. All right, thank you so much for keeping your frequency locked to independent television. Wherever you're watching us from, this is Business This Week. And of course, I've been your host, Daniel Praise Osedebame. And of course, I told you before we went on that break that we are going to kick off in earnest with our major discussion this afternoon. We are going to be looking at starting business from the scratch. Importance of starting up business from the scratch. Last week, I told you we actually dealt with importance of having side hustle. So if it's important to have a side hustle for someone who's actually thinking of venturing into business, how am I going to start? Where will I start from? Who will I meet? What will I start with? And that's what we are going to be discussing this afternoon. Wisdom Elder, starting business from the scratch.
Yeah.
Is it something that is practically impossible considering our economy?
Actually, to start business from scratch is very possible as far as the economy we have is concerned. Starting business is one of the in things. It's necessary for us to understand that you are more relaxed as an entrepreneur, and you can define or determine your extent of expenditures. You can determine the kind of house you live. You can determine the kind of income that you generate because you are an entrepreneur. Now, so if you are, first of all, somebody who has not started business, but you are not always comfortable with little, you are not always comfortable with managing things just in a way to survive, or you just like comfort, you just like to live large, and you like to really determine your future, determine where you go for vacation, determine the kind of life you live, that means you are a very good and strong potential entrepreneur. So these are indications. So
won't people see that as someone who likes leisure?
No, really. The fact that you have this kind of concepts within you is also an indication that you might not be comfortable with a streamlined means of income. You might not be comfortable with cutting yourself into a monthly salary. So such is a motivation for you to know that you are actually cut out to be an entrepreneur. So because you are cut out to be an entrepreneur, you then have to, give it all it takes within the period, sacrifice, deny yourself of the comfort and pleasure, and learn a lot so that you can grow a kind of business that will give you that kind of lifestyle, that kind of comfort. There are so many people who might not be comfortable going to work every day, coming back every day, waiting for salary every day. There are people who will not be comfortable with that.
Okay.
So if you are in such a position, that means you are an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So the earlier you start discovering the area to go into as an entrepreneur, the better. So how do you start, like you asked?
We'll get to that, but let's just quickly take your reaction, pharmacist Erhabor. Now, we live in a time where everyone wants to own a business. Motivational speakers have been motivating people to go and look for something to do. And they've actually told us that it's not good or wise to depend on one source of income. Must everybody be a businessman?
Well, everybody cannot be a businessman. But if we have more entrepreneurs in the society, it will go a long way to help this inflation we talked about. And it will go a long way to make the economy more viable. Because we observe that the rate of the unemployed keep increasing. And why do I have unemployment is because we do not have enough entrepreneurs. And sad to say, the country does not encourage entrepreneurs. So if we can get more entrepreneurs, our economy could be more viable. Starting a business is easy but sustaining it. If you do not have what it takes to be a business person, to be an entrepreneur, you will start and you will not be able to finish. Like you said, everyone cannot be.
Okay.
But we encourage those who can, they should pick up that duty. Because we need more of persons who can create jobs. If you look at the Western world, we believe, we know that they are doing well economically. It's because they have more entrepreneurs than we do. So if you want to start a business, I would advise, go for what you have passion for, what you love doing. You know, make money out of it.
Okay.
Turn it into a money-making business. Just look for your passion, do your visibility studies, and see what, look for your competitors. What are they doing? How can you fine-tune what they are doing? Okay. Because the truth is, there's really nothing new under the sun. It's just packaging. How do you fine-tune and give a different version of what they're doing?
All right, Elder Wisdom, talking about competition, talking about rebranding. The truth is, there's nothing new under the sun, like he said. Businesses that have existed in the past are still the kind of business that are repackaged again and infused into the society. I wouldn't want us to start diving into the kind of businesses one can start with. Let's push that. Let's keep that on one hand. But now the question is it possible to start from your home? Must you have a very big office? Should you have so many persons employed as you're starting the business from the scratch? What is the process?
All right, yeah. I will tell you there are so many strategies of starting. As an entrepreneur, I will tell you that what's a strategy that works for party A might not work for party B. Entrepreneurship is one word that is highly practical. It's not a theoretical thing. Most people that teach entrepreneurship in school and then expect the students to go and start practicing it is just one way of actually preparing somebody for a world that he's not ready for. You understand? So entrepreneurship is necessary. First of all, you can start from your home. You can start maybe in an office, depending on your idea that you want to convert into a project, and then from project you convert the project into a business. Now look at this now. I can be self-employed, but I might not be running as an entrepreneur. You understand? If I'm self-employed, that means my business runs because I am there. I'm employed. I employ myself to run my business because I'm there. But when I'm not there, my business is running, then I can tell myself comfortably that I'm an entrepreneur because the business runs whether I'm there or not. There are most businesses today that whether they are there, the CEOs are there or not, those businesses are running. So now the first thing you do is, what is your idea that you want to establish? What concept do you want to bring in? What's product or service or idea, projects that you want to introduce into the market? First thing. So look at that idea very well, then begin to organize the idea. There are certain factors you look into for an idea to sell. Remember that your idea has to be people-friendly.
Okay.
Remember that your idea has to be innovative. It has to be technology compliant because you are introducing something to the market today, and then you know that the world today is fully, IT compliant, and then something that you're bringing into the market is not technology compliant. It's going to be difficult. You understand? So remember also that your idea will make life easier for people who wants to get used to it. There's this advert that was made one time of a CNN journalist that was capturing from the area view of a particular location. That was around 92 or so, about 92. For a CNN journalist to capture the area view of a particular location, he has to be in a helicopter, and then
to get a proper shot.
Yeah, to get the proper shot, and the helicopter man, the cameraman will be there, and all. Now somebody looked at that, and somebody developed the drone technology. So we did analysis and realized that the drone technology removed the helicopter captain out of work. It removed the cameraman out of work. It removed whoever that was there, about 4 or 5 persons.
And even the rigs.
Yes, the rigs out of work. That's the drone technology. So if I have a project, if I have a business or an idea I want to introduce, it starts from there. First, you have an idea. Then the next thing is to go and acquire training in order to back up that idea. If you have the right training, the right information to back up the idea, now training has to do with both skills, both managerial, both the legal, both the marketing, both human relation and all.
Okay.
Take for example, if I want to market my product to you now, even though you are not ready to buy that product, even when you are not ready,
You convince me.
you will buy it.
We'll try.
I will.
After the show.
Definitely. Definitely. The reason is because
It's hard to convince people like us.
No. Man, you're looking good this morning. You're so wonderful. In fact, I could even.
Okay, is the matter.
So I can flatter you.
Okay.
I can make you feel on top of the world.
It's part of the strength of self.
Of course. After that, and you'll be very big and proud about whatever I've said to you because you look like the
after massaging
after
my
that, I will now tell you why I'm in the area and the reason why what I've come for, you cannot miss it.
Okay.
Do you understand? Now, that is different from skills that I've been trained for. Okay. Now, there are people who might have skills, but they don't have the capacity to push their skills into...
Okay, all right, Wisdom Elder. I know if I leave you can be here till 4 p.m. trying to talk on one point. Pharmacist, you are a pharmacist, and also a businessman, a successful one at that, and of course a business coach. But we have people who are still afraid to start. They are still afraid to take a step. Do you have any counsel for them?
Yes, I do. You see, as far as business is concerned, if you are ready for it, go all in. You cannot succeed in building a business if you don't go in with your whole heart, your whole self. And you see, you need all the right information to succeed. And information is at your fingertip. With your mobile device, you can access any information regarding a knowledge you want to acquire, and you can acquire it within your room. So you can start from anywhere you are. Like I said before, passion is so important. If you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, first of all, the passion has to be there. Because the passion will take you through during those difficult times. As an entrepreneur, you're going to face a lot of hurdles. One, resources. You talk about cash, funds. You're going to talk about human resources. So all of these, when you have the passion, when those difficult times come, it keeps you going. It keeps you going. And not forgetting the fact that any business that does not innovate will fade away.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur, you need to think, this is my business. How is it going to be done 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And start doing it. Before the others get to know about this, you have already created a good space for yourself.
Okay.
You've taken yourself out of the pack and out of the crowd. You stand out. And you've made a name and a brand because you have a foresight. You think ahead.
Okay.
So an entrepreneur needs all of this. Like my colleague said, being an entrepreneur, you have to become so many persons in one. You need knowledge. You need information. But start small. Build on it. Take it stage by stage.
Taking away training from me, sir. You don't need training too.
You need training, of course.
Okay.
It depends on the area you're going into. If it requires specialized training, you have to go for it. Let's take, for example, now when we're talking about the digital creators, those who make digital content.
Content creators.
Good. Now, if you don't know your way around the system, you know it's going to be difficult.
That's true.
And if you don't know how to get one or two things done within the internet, it's going to be difficult. So you can go to a digital school. If you know someone who creates digital content, meet him for those training.
Okay.
So the areas you're actually going to determines the knowledge you're going to acquire.
Okay, he just mentioned one of the areas you can start from. So let's quickly dive into the kind of business you can start. Because once you just say starting business from the scratch, It kind of creates kind of worries in the hearts of the people. How will I start? Mostly people who have fear in their mind. And of course, they say fear is prison. What you are afraid of, if you don't take step, you might not really get it head to head. Wisdom, whether businesses that we can start from the scratch.
All right, businesses we can start from the scratch. I want to say that what makes people to be afraid is because they lack the experience, they lack the knowledge, and then they lack the network, the right mindset, and all these things you can get within the period of getting your training to start up a business. Without those trainings, without networking with the right people, and without identifying with people who are already going ahead of you in areas that you are about to go into, you might be having challenges with confidence. But that notwithstanding, it doesn't really mean that the challenge of confidence is just a destination. The challenge of confidence is an indication that there are things that you need to do on yourself. So there are several businesses we can start. You can start businesses in IT related. These days, fintech is going very far, and then a lot of guys don't understand. A lot of people bet. A lot of people go on betting. So you can create something. Like I said, let it be innovative. Let it try to solve problem far much better than what already has been existing. Be innovative, come and make life easier. Now, let it be people friendly. You don't want to sell something that will be a challenge to, or a source of concern. Just imagine now that, like I gave an illustration, how a drone has a remote. So everything you want to introduce, I might want to introduce tailoring, but I might want to introduce it because tailoring has a challenge of delivering on time. I might want to tell you that my own system of tailoring is, the name is 48 hours fashion designing at its best, or at its
And you'll be meeting up.
And I will meet up. I already have my strategy. I already have everything. And when I start, I'm going to take over the market from every other tailor around. Every other person will want to come and patronize me because I meet up 48 hours. So I can be doing it morning, afternoon,
For
night.
someone that's just starting.
Someone that is just
Are we
starting.
not going to be having what I ordered for and what
No,
I get?
that's it. So you understand the context, you understand your market, and you want to introduce something unique. There's what is called unique selling point in every vision. Every vision has unique selling point. There are some brands that you cannot adulterate their content or their quality. If you want to copy what they have already started, you always go below their standard because there's something unique about them. And to develop a unique selling point, you discover what actually the people need about that and what actually is the contending problem. You will also discover some little things. There are little things that matters that most companies or most businesses don't even take into cognizance. Take, for example, there was a time Nokia was taking over. Nokia was all over the world and over $300 billion company. But there are certain things that they did not take into cognizance. Yes, they were operating on Windows and they saw that Android has come up and it was making telephoning very easy and very simple. Phones were not hanging and things were going on fine, but they wanted to impose their own concept. BlackBerry had the same confusion, and before you know it, Android swept the market.
They went into extinction.
And then it was too late for Nokia to float into Android, and they went into extinction. Different phones came up, and then so many small phones became mega billionaire companies. So you have to look into your own field. What is the thing that will make me to stand out? You want to go into fashion. People are already into fashion. But what am I going to introduce into fashion? You want to go into catering, for example. People are already into catering. But what are the challenges predominantly associated with the catering?
Wait a minute. Let's quickly take your reaction, Erhabor. The kind of business we should go into, and of course, the importance of those business. Let's just wrap it up from there.
Okay, I would like to talk from the youth, because a lot of our youth are not engaged. And there are a lot of little business, small scale business, with less than 50,000 you can go into. And I will personally want to recommend if they can go into the food industry. Okay. You know, we have a lot of chains in the food industry. Take, for example, the barbecue. It's so easy to start. It's so easy to acquire the basic knowledge. And if they're able to do this can start putting food on their table. It can start solving a lot of problems. I have a friend who is actually into a barbecue business. And I tell you, the guy make up to about 60,000 per day.
Just to roast fish?
Just fish.
Put pepper and alubasa?
60,000 per day.
60K?
Removing all costs and expenses.
Wow.
So these are...
That's his profit?
His profit.
From roasting fish?
Exactly. So these are business that exist that many people do not know.
Are you sure?
The way you are analyzing
I will not go.
I'm telling you.
Roasting fish by my junction.
The way you analyze, are you analyzing it because it's close to somebody's salary?
No, now. You get 60 or 70,000 just to roast fish that you tie inside paper.
Yes.
Put pepper and onion.
And you comfortably patronize him. Maybe one of them for 5,000, comfortably.
And when he told me about it, I doubt.
When he told you?
Yes. He lived very close to my house back then. Then one evening I came out, I saw him dress all the fish. Actually, I stayed with him. He was a friend. We were gisting. I stayed with him. He sold over 25 of that day.
Instantly?
3,000 naira. 3,000 naira.
Multiplied by 25.
He left there around 9. I also went home. So it dawned on me that there are a lot of business people on the rates, and people are making cool money
from it. Okay. We're actually running out of time, and I'm afraid we just have less than 60 seconds to wrap up. Let's just take our final notes as we begin to wrap up now.
All right, let me say this, that yes, you might not like going into the fish business because probably your mindset or your way of thinking does not accommodate that. But you can also look into what your mindset and your way of thinking could accommodate. There are so many other areas. Now, he talked about putting food on your table. Your concept of going into entrepreneurship might not just be to put food on your table. Okay. It might be to establish a vision and to make a generational impact, which also is part of the game.
But you must start from somewhere.
But you must start from somewhere. Okay. And I must say this, that I just want to balance for the sake of this program as professionals that you can start with what you have passion for, but let me explain this now. Most people today...
You make it brief now.
Yes, most people today are going into what they know can generate the kind of wealth that they desire or they dream of. Dangote might not have passion for cement, but he has looked into the country and he has known that if I take over the cement industry, the cement business in Nigeria, because of the population, the landmass and everything, I'm going to become a big shot, you understand? Yeah. So what you have passion for starting, but next is what can give you the compound.
Okay, you've actually taken our 60 seconds. Wisdom Elder.
Yeah, so my advice for the youth is that, please, I want them off the streets.
Okay.
Engage yourself. Do something that can put something on your table. Because an idle mind thinks a lot of negative things. So when you are gainfully employed, like he said, everybody cannot do those little business. Yeah. We are all different in different ways and different visions and all of that. But for the average individual, the major problem and challenge they have is the mouth. Is the mouth.
All right, thank you so much, Erhabor Benjamin, for taking time to join us despite the short notice. And of course, Wisdom Elder will still be here again next week, Friday, to take you through another beautiful edition of the program, Business This Week. Well, for me, I will go and look for fish and look for, is it firewood now I need?
No, cool.
Fire will not be a problem. We'll see you next week, Friday. I'm Daniel Praise Osedebame. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye for now.